So you've been wanting to join the gym, whether it's because you're insecure about your body, you want to gain some muscle, lose some body fat, or overall just start a healthier lifestyle. Well, you've come to the right video. Now, whoever you are clicking this video, it's likely that you are a beginner, you've been wanting to get started in the gym, but you are unsure what to do. Well, here is the complete guide on getting the physique that you want and to begin your fitness journey. So in this video, I'm going to be covering 5 important key components to keep you consistent in the gym, to give you efficient results, and some general knowledge. So tip number 1 is always focusing on your short-term goals before your long-term goals. Now let me explain. I'm not saying that long-term goals are not important. Don't get me wrong. That's the outcome of what you want to achieve, okay? But when it comes to short-term goals, that is where the ambition comes in. That is where action happens. You can say that you want to be rich. You can say that you want to have a great physique, but in that moment, you need to create a plan for yourself. You need to create actions for yourself. You need to have some form of ambition for you to get to where you want to be. Any person in the world can say that they want to be shredded. Any person in the world can say they want to be rich. But are you really going to get there if you don't create a schedule for yourself, if you don't create a plan for yourself, or create any short-term goals that can slowly set you up for that success? So going back to the main topic, when you are starting out the gym, please focus on short-term goals. I see too many people so fixated on the long-term goals that when they put just a little bit of work in and they realize that they are not going to get there as fast as they want to, it becomes very discouraging. And that's the problem that a lot of people face. Once it gets discouraging, they're not going to want to stick to it long term, which is very important to why you need to set short-term goals for yourself in the gym. So if you want to get jacked, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in 6 months or even a year, unless if you have godlike genetics. But for the average human being, you need to be putting in the work long term. And to start with that, you need to start with the plan. Maybe starting with training at least 3 times a week, or doing 30 minutes of cardio to lose belly fat, or just in general be consistent, right? That is what helps you get to where you want to be long term. It's all about the little accomplishments that add up. That's what gets you to where you want to be. So if you're watching this, please set up short-term goals for yourself, and eventually it will translate into the long-term outcome that you want to get to. Now, point number 2, we're going to get into the more fundamental stuff. It's focusing on your workout intensity and diet. Now, a very common mistake that a lot of new lifters have is that they fail to train with high intensity. When it comes to building muscle, it is very important that you achieve high mechanical tension. Mechanical tension is the main factor when it comes to hypertrophy. Hypertrophy is a process of breaking down muscle fibers for them to later on build, become bigger and stronger. Let me give you an example of mechanical tension. When you are doing push-ups, let's say you're doing a set of 10, and if you can do 10 repetitions and you feel like you can do 10 more, that is not a high degree of mechanical tension. You need to be able to do a set where it feels like you were struggling near the end of the set. For example, a new lifter doing 10 push-ups, maybe their 8th to 10th rep is very difficult. However, they push through those reps. Those are the reps that matter the most when it comes to building muscle. I see a lot of people in the gym training to mild discomfort. And let me tell you, in my head, I just know that they are not going to progress that long. So when it comes to building muscle, please train with high intensity and train like you mean it. Now that we've gone over the gist of the training part, it is time to go over the diet, which is, my opinion, the most important part. Now, believe it or not, 70% of this whole process is actually revolving around the diet. So your body is being run by 3 macronutrients: proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. Let's start with the protein. You can be training so hard in the gym, you can get every fundamental right, whether it's your intensity, your form, execution, everything right. But if you don't have your diet down, you're literally wasting your time. Now, proteins is made up by a lot of amino acids, and essentially it's what allows you to build muscle and repair damaged tissues. Now, going back to the mechanical tension and hypertrophy, once you tear down those muscle fibers, the proteins is what allows you to repair the damaged tissue to become bigger and stronger. So without the proteins, you will not really build muscle. Now, you're probably wondering, how much protein are you supposed to have? Well, depending on your situation, for example, if you're bulking, you want to have at least anywhere between 0.8 grams to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. That should be enough for you to maintain or gain muscle. On the other hand, when you're cutting, there has been some recent studies showing that you can still maintain your muscle for as low as 0.8 grams to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. There are a lot of articles out there. Don't just take it from me. You can do your research too. Now, there's many other benefits when it comes to protein, like maintaining muscle or speeding up recovery. It's It's a very essential macronutrient that you need in your diet. Second macronutrient, we have carbohydrates. Now, carbs is a very important energy source for your lifting and training. It's what gives you the strength as well as maximize your performance. It's kind of funny though, because proteins and carbs kind of go hand in hand to one another. They correlate. Now, proteins are the amino acids, the building blocks, is what allows you to build muscle and repair damaged tissue, whereas carbohydrates is the main factor to increasing your lifting performance as well as give you the strength and energy you need to lift the weights and train hard and train well. Now, carbohydrates is the main factor when it comes to energy, and that's what allows to fuel your workouts and allows you to progress because of these carbohydrates. So to sum it all up, if you don't have the energy to fuel your workouts, you're not going to progress. And then if you're not going to progress, you're not going to really build muscle. So it's the carbs first, then the proteins afterwards. Macronutrient number 3, we have the fats. Now, fats is also another energy source. However, it is meant for long-lasting activities such as walking, maybe doing work, and that type of stuff. Now, there are a few people out there who look down on fats, but there are many physical and health benefits to fats. And believe it or not, some vitamins don't actually work without fats, like vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K. It's what also benefits your overall mood, your mental focus, and overall health. So to sum it all up, it's very important to have all 3 macronutrients, and you shouldn't neglect them. Now, tip number 3, when you are starting out, it is very important to be realistic about your training regimen. Now, this is something I can confidently speak about because myself, I have experienced this before, and I've seen a lot of other people experience this before, and they just end up quitting early. The process is a jog, not a sprint. Let me explain. There's a lot of people who have that spark of motivation and they just feel like they can do anything. For example, someone who is starting out the gym will just confidently tell you, oh, I'm going to go 6 to 7 days a week, which is something that they can potentially do for maybe 1 to 3 weeks. But then they'll start to realize that they're going to slowly fall off and then they just won't be consistent anymore. Slowly, gradually increase your progression when it comes to that. Be realistic with yourself. Ask yourself, am I really going to be able to maintain this schedule? Am I really going to be able to train 5 to 6 days a week? Be true to yourself, because if you're true to yourself, that will get you to where you want to be. See, I've personally coached people in the past, and I can confidently tell you I've asked the same question to them so many times. And I always advise them to start off at least 3 times a week. And once they see themselves adapt to that schedule and they believe that they can increase it to 4 days, then so be it. Then 5 days and so forth. Be true to yourself. Do not rush the progression. Now, majority of you out there, you have a life outside the gym. You have a job, side hustles, family you need to take care of. There's a lot of inconveniences that may occur, and it might lead you to not being able to be doing a consistent schedule. With the position you're in right now, depending on your position, it's always important to be true to yourself and ask yourself, can I really stick to the schedule? Be true to yourself and you'll progress. And coming to my 4th point is that simple is always better. Now, I understand that it might be very tempting to try certain exercises that you might see online that seem quite complex, a little complicated. You need to remember that it's always better to keep things simple, especially when you are a beginner. If you keep things fairly simple, it is more likely that you will stay consistent. If you try to follow any other lifters or any other influencers that are telling you to do something a certain way, you might not be consistent. You might not stick to it. Now, that's why I think it's important to keep exercise selection very simple so you can get adapted to the basics, the basic movements, and then once you are more experienced, then by all means, get curious. Now, what I recommend for beginners is to try your best to stick to compound movements, such as the big 3, the squat, the bench, and the deadlift. Those 3 exercises are, in my opinion, the greatest when it comes to building a foundation. Once you master those movements, it would give you the confidence to try other things. Now, compound movements are essentially exercises that target not just one muscle, but multiple. Keep things very simple. There's no need to make things complicated when you start out. Otherwise, you just won't be consistent. Tip number 5, and I think it is the most important out of the other 4 that I have mentioned, be patient. You guys need to understand that results don't happen overnight, especially when it comes to making progression in the gym. It is not something you're going to see within a day, a week, maybe a month. But something that you have to always remember, this is a long-term investment. If you are not willing to put in the hours, put in the work long term, you're not going to see any progression. You're not going to see any results. I've been lifting for about 4 years now, and I can confidently say I've seen a lot of changes in my body, mentally, physically. I've seen it. I've also been in your shoes as well, hoping that I can get the results I want very quickly. You need to realize that this is a long game. This is long term. You just got to be patient. Good things come when you wait. So please be patient. All right, so that's pretty much it. Those are the 5 most important key components, in my opinion, for beginners who are trying to get started in the gym, who are trying to make progression, and who need just some solid advice when it comes to starting. Now, anyone here who is experienced, if you found this quite helpful too, I'm very happy to help. And I hope you guys are willing to stick around and enjoy my journey here as well as a YouTube content creator. This is my first video, one of many, and I really hope you guys found it very helpful and enjoyable and educational. I would really appreciate it if you guys drop a like and subscribe. I'm going to be trying my best to post weekly about educational content, motivational content, and so much more. It would mean the world. I appreciate your guys' support. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.